I'm Jay Pitts, a real estate broker, agent, leader, and investor. For the last decade, I've navigated the craziest of real estate markets this country has ever seen, selling over 2,000 homes, moving in and out of markets, always ahead of the curve. And now I'm bringing that perspective to you. This is your resource, and Real Talk About Real Estate starts right now.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Resource, Real Talk About Real Estate. I'm Gabe Pruitt.
And I'm Jay Pitts.
And we are joined today by the one and only Matt Hoagland.
Hey,
Matt,
what's up, guys?
Thank you for being here
Otherwise
on such short notice.
known as Hoagie.
Yeah.
To those here inside the brokerage, those fond of him, Hoagie.
Hoagie.
You know? Hoagie.
That's what
Is
we'll
that
put in
okay?
the show notes.
It's okay. We can call you Hoagie.
No, that name has actually followed me since I was probably about 5 years old. So.
It's a term of endearment.
Yeah, I mean,
It's a term of endearment.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
you know, and actually, it shouldn't go without saying that we are here on Halloween. Mm-hmm. Halloween, October 31st, but also the birthday of one co-host, Mr. Gabe Pruitt.
Indeed, yes.
So what is it like growing up born on Halloween?
Actually, not to digress too far, but it was a burden. It really
was. It was a burden.
When I was
Is it
growing
like being born on Christmas? Like you don't get your own birthday because
every
it's the
every year
kind
it's
of
a Halloween birthday party, and I tell the story all the time. I would like have a party, all the friends are over, and there's just a pile of presents that I'm ready to open. And it's like, nope, we're actually going to go trick or treating for 2 or 3 hours, collecting candy. It's like going on a hike.
So it's an exercise in restraint.
And I was just like, when can we go home? I'm ready to go home and open presents. They're like,
There's
no.
nothing wrong with restraint, Gabe. You can have some restraint. I think that's totally fine.
But I deeply appreciate Halloween now. It is one of my favorite holidays.
I can
enjoy it a
understand
lot.
that. I would think so. I would think that you would deeply appreciate it. Well, anyway, so we know this is not our typical day.
Right.
Okay.
We're a day
We
behind.
typically record on Wednesdays, so we are live here. If you follow us, we go live every Wednesday at noon. Save yesterday. Gabe was unfortunately under the weather, so we were unable to go live yesterday. So we're coming to you today live with an interesting topic, despite all the distractions, and we are blessed enough to have Mr. Matt Hoagland join us because I think he's uniquely capable of addressing today's topic. Gabe, why don't you set it up for us, because we had a great conversation in our Monday morning meeting, but why don't you set up the topic for us a little bit?
Yeah. So what we wanted to talk about today has to do with overcoming some of the natural, what's the best word for this? Just the natural obstacles that a lot of real estate people face. There's a lot of things that can happen to your mindset when you're constantly confronted with all of these challenges that come in real estate. And a lot of it has to do with, you're your own boss, you're your own motivator. You have to make a lot of the decisions that can make or break your business. And a lot of that self-talk can get really negative sometimes when you're dealing with trying to understand what's the best use of my time right now, or is any of this even making a difference? Does any of this work? Am I actually going to be successful or not? Is this a huge waste of my time sitting here calling people an hour every day? Am I bad at this because people just reject me on the phone over and over? So we wanted to talk about all of that negative self-talk, what to do with it, whether or not that's normal or if it's something that, we want people to know that they're not alone if they think these things.
Well, and the funny thing is our conversation, Matt, and you can probably appreciate this. You didn't sit in our meeting on Monday, but you can probably appreciate this. And what really led me to want to address this topic in our podcast this week was the fact that, kind of off the cuff, like I just had a baby, right? Jen and I just had number 3, which you have number 3. You know what it's like to be outnumbered. Been there, done that, right? So had number 3. Sunday night, it's been great. Everything has been great so far. And it's really nice, the experience that I've had with number 3. Matt, chime in here. We've known what to expect, right? No longer do we feel freaked out like we're going to make a mistake and something's going to go horribly awry. We feel comfortable in knowing, but that doesn't change the challenge in the moment, right? Like trying to do your daily stuff that you've come used to and, follow your responsibilities and all that, you're still not getting any sleep. You still got a human being that is completely dependent upon you for their every need. And Sunday night just wasn't a good night for me. Like, my wife was worn out because Saturday night, I got some sleep and she didn't. So I let her to go to bed, and I'm up literally all night with the baby.
Like trading who gets to sleep.
And so I was very frustrated, and all the things that go along with that frustration, the guilt, right? Like you're angry because the baby won't sleep. Now you feel guilty for being angry at this little tiny 9-pound thing that can't help any of the things that it's feeling, right? I'm frustrated that Jen's sleeping and I'm not, and then I'm mad at myself for being frustrated with her. And all those things, right, just really led to a spiral of my personal self-talk and my energy leading into Monday morning, which is very important in our business, to kick off your week in a positive way and to come in here and to not just, and you can speak to this too, not just me. Like this whole place depends on me in some way, shape, or form. And those, 15 or 20 agents that sit in our Monday morning meeting rely on me for energy to bring it.
Well, I think, I was going to say, specifically in your case, you have the 15 to 20 agents, you've got staff, you've got a property management company, but something else that sticks out to me and what I feel like my focus is always on is you also have clients.
Yeah.
So, you've got the daily grind with a new kid, you've got wife responsibilities, you've got rental properties, you've got deals going good, most going bad, a lot sometimes.
Yeah.
And that can be very just weighs you down sometimes.
Yeah.
And you just, that negative self-talk it's easy. It's really easy to just sit there and say, woe is me, and blame it on yourself as well. So
yeah, no, I know where I'm coming from. You and I have had many, many conversations about this very topic.
I'm a basket case.
No, you're not.
Sometimes
we honestly no. Matt and I have a great working relationship, and we and a friendship on top of that. So we speak very candidly with one another, and it's why I felt really appreciative that he's willing to come on here and be so transparent and talk about some of the experiences he's had. But coming away from that meeting on Monday, I literally just something compelled me in that meeting to just kind of lay it all out there for the team. I told them that I sat in my car literally 5 minutes before walking into the meeting and tried to psych myself up because you need to get it together because these people depend on you.
Well, and I think with what you were just saying, I think it's important for you or anybody in some kind of leadership position to show a little bit of, transparency.
Vulnerability.
You're not always up here.
Well, that's exactly what they appreciated. And what led me to do this today, to want to do this episode, was the fact that, everybody's all silent in the meeting, right? So I'm out there on that tightrope by myself, feeling very vulnerable, even in sharing in the team, they're nodding and they're quiet. And I got some smiles, I got some kind of blank faces. And you just wonder in that moment, how this is resonating with these people, right? There's even some guilt for me in that moment thinking, these people don't need to hear this. These people need me to come in here and be strong. But I had no joke, 5 of my team members reach out afterwards and say, hey, you don't know how much that meant to me. Knowing that you're going through the same things. And I think sometimes as a leader, okay, so all of our listeners out there that are leaders, we feel this compulsion to be strong, to be invincible, to be, this pillar of, kind of just solidified mass. You cannot be moved. Nothing takes you off your game. And to a certain extent, that strength inspires people, but sometimes the vulnerability inspires them more. So, Matt, talk to me about this. We've talked a little bit about my situation, right? Ultimately, I had a really good day on Monday, okay? The baby was up in the middle of the night. I was up with him, and I didn't care. It was complete 180 from where I was 24 hours prior. And what I recognized was that, and what I conveyed to the team that morning, was that your energy, your self-talk, is one of the very few things that you can, in fact, choose. You can choose to wallow in your challenges, but you know what? That's your choice. Your outcome is directly related to the choice that you made. And everyone has stuff, right? Everybody's got it. Your circumstances are not mine, but they are very important to you. And you can find a reason, if you're looking for one, to be upset, to be down. Okay, so let's lay this out. Matt, you've had a lot of success in real estate. You sold a lot of property. You just got awarded the RE/MAX Hall of Fame. You've been with the company not even 4 years. Not even 4 years. RE/MAX Hall of Fame, for those of you that don't know, that's $1 million in gross commissions earned
big deal.
with RE/MAX. So Matt has done that. You can do the quick division. Okay, in 3.5 years, he's done over $1 million in gross commissions. Tons of success. But this time last year, were you happy with your business?
No, I really wasn't. And I think a lot of that attributed to going back to the woe is me. So, I was in the middle of, having a real slow season, from August to maybe October last year. I didn't feel good about what I was doing. And so, I'd actually reached out to a couple different people. Obviously, you and I have spoke, about this, but somebody said something to me, and he said, Matt, why did you get into real estate? And I said, well, I enjoy helping people. I'm a people person. I like to, provide service. And he said, well, what do you, I don't see you on social media anymore. I don't see you doing some of the things. You're not loving on your people the same way. And I would say that, one of the things that I believe is when we're the happiest is when we're helping others, we're serving others.
Sure.
And even now, if I find myself in a funk, I'll do 2 or 3 positive things or something for somebody else to kind of help build me out of that. And sometimes it's not always the easiest thing to do, but that's just something I have to consider and think about, as I'm going through my day-to-day.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's interesting that you say that too, because I think for a lot of people, their first thought wouldn't be, when they're struggling with their energy, to pour into somebody else. Like, that would definitely not be my first thought. Like, if I was struggling to get my own mind right, I would be trying to deal with myself before I would try to help somebody else. So
well,
it's very counterintuitive.
but Gabe, you're absolutely right. But what Matt is saying is extremely important because, we used to say, you're trying too hard in sports, right? Like, so growing up in baseball, like, you're forcing the game. Let the game come to you is a statement that you'll hear often in baseball. A really talented player needs to let the game come to them.
Yeah.
When you're playing basketball and you're forcing shots, right? You're not taking good shots, but you're the best player on the floor. But if you don't take bad shots, you're going to shoot a low percentage. Let the game come to you. When you focus on yourself, okay, inherently you get yourself into this vacuum where you microanalyze every single decision, and nothing can seem to measure up. You tend to spiral. But when you focus on others and you lift them up, and they show you gratitude, and you see the incremental change that you're causing, there is really nothing more valuable. Frankly, in my career right now, Matt, you know this, Gabe, you know this too. I don't do as many listings and showings and that kind of thing. I'm investing time and energy in our agents to try and lift them up, and it's some of the most rewarding work I've ever done. Okay, and I can see myself, and the really great part about it is that it's much more scalable. I can only sell so many houses, but I can sit here and record a podcast episode and talk about self-talk and positive energy, and it literally can affect anybody who goes over to iTunes or to YouTube or to our website and looks at this stuff. So what Matt has done, and I'm going to talk specifics, okay? Can we talk specifics?
Absolutely.
Okay, so this time last year, not happy, but business was still better than ever. And in retrospect, your slow season of the fall was a slow season that a lot of people experienced. It was nothing due to your activities. It was merely, would you agree, an issue of perception, right? Like, you took an opportunity to over-index on the negative in those moments, despite the fact that it was probably one of the best years you've ever had in real estate, right?
Yeah.
2018 was?
Actually, it was 2017. 2017 was my best, and this year is looking to, I'm going to surpass that. But yeah, so 2018 was a little slower. So, all of that combined, going through a full year and kind of seeing the writing on the wall too. But again, I don't want to discount the fact that it was me, that I was the one, choosing to take that mindset. But then, reaching out, one thing that I do, I'll say this, I do this really well. Like, I'm not afraid. Like, if I'm going through something, I'll talk to people that I trust.
Yeah.
I don't care. I mean, I open up to people.
You are.
That does help me. So, but one of the things that I did last fall, I made the decision to kind of reinvent myself. I don't want to say reinvent, but invest in myself.
I absolutely agree, and that's exactly where I was headed. As you came to a choice, Okay, you came to a moment where a choice had to be made. You either had to allow things to continue the way they were, or you had to make a choice to do some things radically different. Okay, so what did you choose? What are some of the things? Let's talk specifics. What did you do? Because I want to highlight some of the, because I obviously know we've talked about these things. We've strategized some of them together. But what were the things you did? Because what I want to do is I want to highlight some of the components of what you've done and how they impact your self-talk, in my opinion. So let's talk about specifics about a few things that you did. What are a couple of the larger decisions you made?
The larger decision, first and foremost, was hiring a real estate coach. I know that's something. I mean, I've followed that. I've been in real estate almost 6 years, and I've followed it from the very beginning. Yeah. But I didn't really see. I didn't see the value in it at the time, but
it's not cheap.
No, it's not
and
cheap.
If my wife calls, I have a real estate coach as well. She calls it my real estate therapist, but it's kind of it serves a function, frankly. So you hired a coach, and it's not cheap. So this was a substantial financial investment.
And this is also when, again, so I'm going to kind of draw some parallels to this. So when I first started into real estate, I had the highest mortgage. I just got the highest mortgage I ever had. Yeah. I had maybe $10,000 in the bank. My second kid on the way. And just dove all the way in. So I bet on myself.
Took the risk.
And did it. So that's kind of, last year was my almost 5-year mark when I was kind of going through some of this. And that's what I was like, well, I need to do this again and up my game. And coaching was one of the ways that I was going to do that.
Yeah. No. Okay. So hired a coach, large financial investment, bet on yourself again. So mimicked a great decision that you made in the past. Okay. Put your money where your mouth was, got to a place where you were humble enough to know that you didn't know 100% of what you needed to be done to move you to where you wanted to go. So you exercise vulnerability by exposing your business and your choices to someone else who was an impartial third party. Mm-hmm. Okay. So these are some pretty, serious things to make the decision, especially someone who's been as successful as you have. To say, hey, I don't know. You've been killing it. Look, no joke. There's a lot of people that would like to be Matt Hoagland in the real estate business right now. Mm-hmm. Okay, a lot of people in Louisville, a lot of people watching this podcast would love to have Matt's business. They would trade with him in a heartbeat. No joke, okay? And for this guy to be humble enough and vulnerable enough to say, I don't understand how to get out of this rut, I need someone to help me, is a big deal. Okay, what's another decision you made? So you hired a coach, then what else?
Another decision I made was to, I needed some help with managing, my database and my, some of my contract to close and my back end things. One of the things that I feel like that I do really well that help me in my business is, loving on the people that trust me and that have done business with me. So now, I have Adrian in place.
Hired an assistant.
Yeah, hired an assistant, and she
administrative person.
Yeah, absolutely, and she helps with a lot of that stuff, and I've been able to implement a lot more ideas and things that I've always had, but I didn't have the time to run my business transactions and then also do some of this other stuff that she definitely takes care of.
Another large financial investment. Right? I mean, yeah. It is.
I mean, for sure.
Compared to an agent, there's a lot of our listeners are top level real estate professionals that are looking to get to the next level and find a hard time making that leap. But the truth is someone who does a lot of business by referral, like you do, Matt. Okay, you don't have to have a ton of expense, but when you invest in people, it comes at an expense. Okay, so that was something else. So coaching and an admin, okay, because you realized that you weren't going to get where you were going, where you wanted to go by yourself. Okay, so and I think that was pretty amazing. So let's talk about something else that you did. We talked about the financial investments that you've made. Also, again, vulnerability is exercised there because you said, finally, I can't do it all by myself. I have to have help, which is a big deal. Someone like you who provides such high-level service, you're allowing Adrian, who is fantastic, I hope she's in the next room listening, but you're allowing her to communicate with your clients, which is yielding control, which is another big one. Marcy, sitting over in the side of the room, could smile about that one because I had to do the same thing. She is not.
She's got a witch hat on today.
She is not reacting. Happy Halloween, Marcy. So anyway, my point is that's not the only way that you've made, you've grown through this process? Give us some other ones.
A third one, probably around March or April, I set out to, bring on another agent.
Yep.
And I kind of whiffed. I'll just call it that. I whiffed on 2 people.
Okay.
Which, really turned it out for me to be, kind of a blessing because, I did acquire somebody else that I feel like he's a mirror image of myself, the way that he conducts himself, the way that he, thinks of other people. He's really great at bringing people together and kind of providing, the things that we have to do to get people together on deals. Like he has all of those skills. And he also trusts me, and it's a mutual trust, and that's so huge. Like I believe in this guy so much that, and so that's been he actually started in July, and again, there's more risk responsibility that comes with that, and
trust me, I know. I mean, like you're not just thinking about yourself anymore. There's another family. Okay, you're mentoring an agent that is dependent upon you for at least guidance, and their success in large part is due to the proper guidance that you can provide. They've yielded a lot of trust. They've given it to you. What are you going to do with it? So let me ask you this: you say you whiffed on 2. Okay, in my experience, these things have a way of working out for the best. Okay, is Tony a better fit? Tony Stanrod, everybody. Tony Stanrod, is he a better fit than either of the first 2 would have been?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's no question.
I don't want to get like real touchy-feely, Gabe, about this and talk.
I'm keeping my distance.
And talk law of attraction and all that, okay? You think you're funny. He's killing me. Always got a one-liner for me. Anyway, touchy-feely, but, okay, law of attraction, not trying to go there. But do you think in some small part your energy and what you brought and the choices you made and the improvement that you focused on for yourself allowed for somebody like Tony to present himself and be the utmost perfect fit for you?
Yeah, I mean, no question, because, to be frank with you here, that's how Mike Secor came along in my life. So, when I started at Coldwell Banker, I was kind of doing my thing, sold Mike a house, sold his grandmother's house, sold his sister a house. Like, he saw me doing that, and that inspired him to want to get into real estate. And he's somebody else, just like Tony. He cares about people. He cares about what he does.
Sure.
And a lot of people don't know this. That guy probably would have been my brother-in-law. So, and we don't have to go down that rabbit hole. But yeah, he's somebody else that, like what you just said.
Well, he's a brother. He's a brother to you.
For sure.
I mean, whether he is by law is irrelevant.
Right.
The point is, I think what you've just highlighted for us, Matt, is how your energy, how your context and your approach, choices that you've made, self-talk that you've given yourself, how they have shaped the things that have happened to you. So things that we may not feel on the surface that we have control over, we have some measure of control based on the person we choose to be.
And before we finish today, I want to make sure we really zero in on that, because it's something that we could glaze over pretty easily, because I think we all agree, but it's a hard pill to swallow for some people that your energy is a choice that you make. A lot of people, it's easy, and for myself included, it's easy to feel victimized by your day or victimized by your circumstances, but you have to really keep in mind that you are the only one that can choose what your energy is going to be like. With that, before we wrap, you said something earlier about one of the big things you do to change your mood, to change your energy, is loving on somebody else, serving somebody else. That's a big one. If you were going to give one tip, Jay Pitts, to our listeners about how to change your mood right away, like, do you have a tried and true technique that you use if you're in a funk? This is the one thing you can do to move yourself back out, because I have one.
Well, external stimulus is really important, right? So I often say, like, if I don't know what to do, if I'm lost, I pick up the phone and call somebody, because I am a personality that thrives on interaction.
Okay.
So that's one thing that you can do, but I have a song. I'm not going to say what it is. I'm not going to, it's mine. It's something that is uniquely, my thing. And it's literally on a burnt CD in my CD player right now. I know it is on disc 3 of the disc changer. It's track number 9. I literally press 2 buttons to crank it up. If it's the summer, the windows come down. I press the gas pedal a little harder, and I listen to that, and it crawls inside my brain. and puts me in a place of service.
That's cool.
Okay. Now it's the same kind of thing that might psych me up on a really big listing appointment. It just somehow, some way turns me over immediately. I don't know what it is, but it is. And I think that external stimulus is really important to understand how that can affect you.
Yeah. And
working out's great. You know, I mean, do the things, you know, Gabe, may not be my thing, but gratitudes, you know, writing gratitudes, speaking gratitudes, self-talk, affirmations, all these things are good. Matt, what about you? Do you have a thing?
You know, for me, I have to go back to music. I'm obviously a big music fan myself. Like I come into Remax Premier Properties bumping every once in a while. I know that Ian saw me one day not too long ago, but for me, I didn't want to tie it into this, but like I want to switch into guilt. So it's similar for me to guilt. So if I have guilt, whether it be with my spouse or whether it be with, you know, something, maybe I missed something with a client or I did something, like I step up my game and go above and beyond to
counterbalance your guilt.
Counterbalance my guilt and really boosts my energy levels and my focus and that kind of thing. So, I mean, that's just something else I wanted to mention.
No, I 1,000% agree. 1,000%. You know, we wear this business like a badge of honor, some of us, frankly. I mean, you can go on the Broke Agent, you can go on any of these, like, you know, these meme accounts on social media, and you'll find a plethora of, you know, whether it be like, who said real estate was stressful, and it's a picture of like a white-haired, you know, old dude, and it says, I'm only 39 and I look great. You know, I mean, we wear this business like a badge of honor. The truth is, it is a roller coaster of emotions. So why we are sitting here talking about this today, Gabe, is the fact that it is incumbent upon you to have success in this business, be the gatekeeper of your emotions and your emotional state. Because like I said, we said it, Matt is a perfect example. He's a guy that most would aspire to have his type of success this early in their career. Okay. And he wasn't fulfilled. I mean, it took him making substantial changes in his business and in his life to find the fulfillment that he needs. And he'll be the first one to tell you, 5 minutes before we started this podcast, he wasn't feeling it. I asked him how he was doing. He said, I'm okay. Right? He said, I'm okay. So we're not impervious to always making the right choices. But I guarantee you, having talked about this, having been of service to others through this medium, you're going to walk out this room here in a few minutes when we're done, feeling better than you did before.
Well, I'm going to a closing after this. So.
You're definitely going to be feeling better.
Hey, but
going to get a payday bar.
Yeah, one thing else that I did want to kind of bring to light. Yeah. So, you know, you hear the old adage that, you know, you got to take care of yourself before others. But
it's a good word.
I mean, it really is. So, you know, whether you're serving your wife, your spouse, or your kids, or your clients, or your team members, or your office staff, like, you really have to you have to make sure that you're taking care of yourself so that you bring your best self, you know, to everybody else that's around you. And I think that's contagious as well. You know, when you're doing those kind of things. So
no, I love it. Before we wrap, I would be remiss if I did not throw out a plug. Mr. Hoagland not only is a father, a husband, a real estate extraordinaire, real estate investor, among other things, he is also a podcaster, a fellow podcaster.
Yeah, a veteran.
So you should check out, definitely, how many episodes we got?
We've got 4 live and 8 recorded.
4 live, 8 recorded coming soon. They're on iTunes, the Hoaglist. Hoaglist. I'm pretty sure you put that in the search bar. You're not going to miss it. Hoaglist on iTunes, or pretty much, I'm assuming, wherever you get your podcasts. Sure. Matt, any other final words?
No, I think what you just said is absolutely right. So, you know, I'm happy to come on here and be a part of this. And luckily I've had some practice with my own podcast, but this has been awesome, and I enjoy being around you guys. So
yeah, absolutely.
Well, it was good to have you.
Absolutely.
It made this episode better because we were planning on doing it alone. I'm glad
and not afraid to say that we called an audible, and like the second Matt walked in here, I knew.
It was meant to be.
It was meant to be. So again, for Gabe Pruitt, I'm Jay Pitts. This is Resource. We'll talk about Louisville real estate.
Yes.
Matt Hoagland of the Hoaglist and Remax Premier Properties. We'll catch you guys.